One thing to have Trump's recent approval ratings read on any network, considering his whole attack on the free press thing.
President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, and then I chicken out. I've never heard that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
But to have it broadcast on Fox News, then the fake news rant is incoming any moment.
And I'm also committed to the truth, Jesse. And the truth is that the Democrats are very unpopular, but so is a lot of what Donald Trump is doing. So in polling, Marquette, Fox News, all the goodies, he's down 16 on the economy, down 14 on foreign policy, 26 on handling tariffs, and 32 on cost of living. And this reconciliation bill that they're trying to pass through the Senate right now has opposition from more senators than they can handle. So you've got the Josh Hawleys of the world, who's miraculously concerned about throwing people off Medicaid. We're hurting the poor to help the rich. That does not bode well for 2026 for the Republicans or for 2028, when we're going to have a big, beautiful primary and we will get a great candidate and everyone will forget about the hoity-toity and we shall be victorious.
It was a bizarre Thursday on the Murdoch Manipulation Network. First, we had Pete Ducey somehow accidentally ask a real question regarding the illegal actions of the president.
So the courts are basically telling you guys they think that the White House's policies, the president's policies, are in some way against the law. So why can't President Trump ask the Republicans that control the House and the Republicans that control the Senate just to make a new law?
Well, these laws have already been granted to the president by the Constitution and by laws that have been previously passed. I'll give you another example. For instance, we've been blocked in court for the revocation of visas from individuals who have the privilege of studying in the United States of America. Secretary of State Rubio has simply used his authority to revoke those visas, to revoke that privilege, and we've seen the courts try to block that. So if these judges want to be the Secretary of State or they want to be the president, they can run for office themselves. It should be the other way around. But all of the actions the president has taken rely on legal authorities that have already been granted to him by our nation's existing laws.
And on a different...
Followed by the sheer grilling of Peter Navarro on Fox Business over Trump's turbulent tariff policy.
But could you explain the administration's justification quickly, if you could, and the legality of economic emergency invocation here on Bratz dolls and Wayfair furniture and Lululemon yoga pants? That's going to be a hard sell to a court that those are economic emergencies that deserve tariffs.
Okay, so let's take the fentanyl issue first.
I said Lululemon and Wayfair.
But when it came time for co-host of The Five, Jessica Talov, to balance out a segment about the state of the current Democratic Party, she used her time to instead just go right ahead and bury the current president. Talov discussed the undeniably difficult challenge that Democrats currently face trying to win back public confidence. Before her co-host got too excited, she poured cold water on the idea that Trump was somehow popular. Talov listed off how unpopular his decisions have been regarding things like the economy, foreign policy, and even the border, an area which he's known to poll very well on.
There is an important distinction to be drawn between being accessible and being good, or delivering truth, or actually saying what's going on in the world. And now I'm all fuddled up in my head. But
you told Bibi Netanyahu to
Bibi.
cut it out.
We don't call him Bibi.
I always get that name wrong.
Well, don't. He's important. Donald Trump does this thing. Not only, like today, he says, we got 5.1 trillion in the Middle East. It was 1.5 trillion like a week ago. But most importantly, he sits down for these interviews, and I think Biden should have been more accessible. Maybe we would have had a competitive primary if he had been more accessible. But he does these interviews, and then he says, I don't know, or I'm not sure. Like, Kristen Welker asked him, do you need to uphold the Constitution? I don't know. Ask a lawyer. Are you sending migrants to Libya? I don't know. Ask Homeland Security. You just announced a new nominee for Surgeon General who didn't graduate from med school. Why? Bobby likes her. I don't know her. You have the power to bring back Abrego Garcia. I don't make that decision. Lawyers do.
You were arguing on behalf of him right now.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that is what the criticism is of him. He may be in front of you, but that doesn't mean that he's not spewing utter BS.
But you know what?
Before rhyming off numerous Republican senators who aren't exactly overtly excited about Trump's big, beautiful bill.
And I'm also committed to the truth, Jesse. And the truth is that the Democrats are very unpopular, but so is a lot of what Donald Trump is doing. So in polling, Marquette, Fox News, all the goodies, he's down 16 on the economy, down 14 on foreign policy, 26 on handling tariffs, and 32 on cost of living. And this reconciliation bill that they're trying to pass through the Senate right now has opposition from more senators than they can handle. So you've got the Josh Hawleys of the world, who's miraculously concerned about throwing people off Medicaid. Rick Scott and Maria Bartiromo was raking him over the coals this morning about his views. Rand Paul, who has been talking about everything from how unconstitutional it is for Trump to be putting in these tariffs to how we're ballooning the deficit. Ron Johnson, Susan Collins, Jerry Moran. Those are a lot of senators that you've got to get on board. So if this is the big ticket item, right, this is the big marquee agenda piece that we're going to give tax cuts to the wealthy and we're going to take away food assistance and Medicaid. So we're hurting the poor to help the rich. That does not bode well for 2026. For the Republicans or for 2028, when we're going to have a big, beautiful primary and we will get a great candidate and everyone will forget about the hoity-toity and we shall be victorious.
Funny, Jessica thinks it's the
yeah.
exact opposite.
No, the funny thing is the reason why there's so much opposition to the bill is because it didn't go far enough. This is not about spending. I mean, you're saying this bill is awful because they're going to be cutting. We have to cut. We are heading toward a doom. We're in a doom spiral.
But it balloons the deficit.
I'm saying that, but that's not why you're mad about it. You're mad that they might cut something, or they might cut taxes and they might cut Medicaid. I'm saying is you should be mad that they're not cutting more in terms of cutting Medicaid. Let's be honest about the Medicaid stuff. This is about able-bodied young men and illegal immigrants. So push that aside and talk about.
But the thing is, before people downplay it as just the liberal voice of sanity on Fox News, it's clearly not just on Fox, considering the unprecedented pushback that GOP senators and representatives are facing across the country at their own town halls.
You slipped in two clauses in the big, beautiful bill. One is to allow Trump to void elections that he feels he can. And the other one was to avoid contempt of court judgments. Why were those put in there?
Well, I think that kind of follows up on what Brandy said. Our whole point is to make sure we don't have activist judges who are holding back.
Can you please tell us why you voted to approve a budget bill that includes Section 70302, which effectively prohibits federal courts from enforcing contempt orders? Please let me answer my question. I only got 30 seconds. Which would then allow current and future administrations to ignore those contempt orders by removing the enforcement capabilities.
I do not agree with that section that was added to that bill. This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Okay, next question. Next question.
I am not going to hide the truth.
Where the hot topic has been Trump's big, beautiful bill, and it's been met with apprehension. And as you see, countless members of the GOP have their work cut out for them trying to defend voting for it in front of their constituents.
Why is it that only the rich benefit from this and the rest get stuck having to pay the debt later as we do with this bill?
Say that last part again. Sorry.
Why do we have to pay the debt later as we do with this bill?
This is not going anywhere. Obviously, it's the thing that I care the most about. This bill, while it isn't perfect, is the first time in generations that we've actually made major mandatory spending cuts. We have to grow the economy as much as we cut this in order to get out of this. Otherwise, here's the interesting thing to me though. If we think this is uncomfortable tonight, imagine the day that comes when the bond market and people don't buy our 10-year treasuries. This conversation gets a lot harder. And I believe that we are at least going the right direction by cutting mandatory spending.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.